Welcome everyone here to Barcelona for the Red Sox Racing League. Having a little bit of YouTube difficulties here today. Not been the best of day here in PTR TV headquarters, but nonetheless we do find ourselves here ready and raring for an exciting race here at Barcelona, Spain. Thought I was live. Clearly I wasn't. So back here with some racing here on the evening, and as we have a minute left in qualifying, want to bring up our point standings here after two races. GTP, very tight race there. Mitch Heller, of course, won last race, if memory does serve, and he has a very small lead. You can see how tight the standings is there in that class. Troy Sharon, the other winner on the season, and Ross Booth, he's trying to go for the sweep of the GTD class, but has that very fast machine of Ryan Robertson on his rear bumper, with Saunders, Berry, and Hunter rounding out the top five in that campaign here, at least on the qualifying board. We do have Mitch Heller up by 1 second over Troy Sharon, so quite the margin there, one that you usually do not see, at least to that level of domination. So very interesting to see that, but just because you can do it in qualifying does not mean that you can do it in the race. So we'll see if he can persevere and be able to match that time. He's still on a cool down lap right now of sorts, is Sharon. So he, because he is on track, he will be able to finish this lap and see if he can go on ahead and complete a better lap time. He has 1.1 seconds or so to get to Heller. Breyfogle back there at 2/10 behind Sharon, and then you can see Les Turner back in the 30s just behind. So pretty small field here on the evening in relative terms. So I don't know if this track scared people or if everyone just kind of had a busy evening, but thus far only have 17 people have taken the trip here to Barcelona. So points will be harder to come by. Looks like our split is 6 in GTP, and then pure mathematics would incur that it is 11 that are on the docket here. Well, actually 7 and 10. Marin Pietri did not turn a time in the GTP class rather, so he will start shotgun on the field there. Let's take a look at our weather conditions today here from Barcelona. 77 in the air, 81 in the track, normal humidity and wind, so nothing to write home about there. But you can see here from the top-down cam our track map here at Barcelona. We will be omitting a couple of the chicanes exiting Campsa. We will be heading straight down there. You'll see that when it comes up. You can actually see it right dead center in your screen. That chicane admitted. We're going to go right down that straightaway. And then we will have the chicane right at the latter end of the complex here. There is, we'll be omitting that chicane. I just want to make sure I'm looking at the correct track map here. So bear with me. Yes, we will be omitting that chicane and heading right around. So increasing the speeds here. This track circa the 1995 configuration that we are going to be racing at on the evening. But that timer is buckling down and getting closer to 0. So just in a moment's time, these guys will start gridding, and we'll go ahead and let you know where your favorite driver may be running with our starting lineup here today from Circuit de Barcelona. On tonight's overall poll, with that lap time of 1 minute 28.225, Mitch Heller. Troy Sharon did run just a little bit better, but he will still have to be in second with a 1 minute 29 completely flat. Don't see that too often. Jason Breyfogle third. Les Turner going to be rolling off in fourth in class. And then this is the end of our GTPs. Mark Wilson and Dwayne McCarthy in first. In GTDs, we have Ryan Robertson with Peter Mahler in second, Reed Rundle in third, and Andrew Lunsford in fourth. Terry Dahl in fifth, Tim Saunders in sixth, Bill Pollucky in seventh, and then Kevin Kyle in the 65 car. He will be coming from the 8th position. In the 9th position in class, Mark Kidrowski, and then Marin Pietri. If he is still starting the race, he'll be back there in the rear part of the grid with James Prostel Jr. in the 16 Starry car. Pretty short pace lap here, I believe, to end the lap, if I am indeed certain on that, because again we will have, maybe we'll be omitting the chicane here towards the end of the lap, and that will put us right onto the very, very long front straightaway here. That does consist here of Barcelona coming through the final complex here. We'll be going right from 11 to 12 and we'll be passing that chicane, going right around here. You can see all that internal configurations. We will be omitting it, which again, circa 1995, that was how we got around here at Barcelona. Pace car is in, headed onto the very long front straightaway is the GTP class, all 6 strong. Gonna head down and wait for the green flag to wave. Get tonight's efforts underway here today for the Red Sox Racing League on Red Sox opening day. As a matter of fact, green flag in the air, 35-minute timer has begun to count down, and let's see what we can do here heading into turn number 1. Heller does have that lead, but with the whole shot advantage over Troy Sherrin. Bry Fogel a distant third back there. And then we have a little bit of a racemanship going on. Looks like Les Turner will hold on for 4th. Wilson and McCarthy will sort themselves out as they head into turn number 4 into the Repsol corner. Very long right-hand carousel-esque corner. Very sharp left-hander. Good passing zone here, turn number 5 is. As our GTPs have begun to get their race underway, or rather our GTD class, excuse me. In the GT3 cars, Ryan Robertson out there. It's a second, third, a little bit of alpha temporarily 3-wide endeavor going on. Terry Dahl there. Remember, he had that magnificent crash at VIR, if you want to use that such terminology. But he does have that spot for the time being. Tim Saunders just behind him. And remember, he was 3rd in points in class. Bill Pollock, Kevin Kyle, and James Prostel starting there just behind. We'll go check up on class. I do apologize if the stream is a little bit choppy here today. Did a massive undertaking here and upgrade here on the resources here at PTR TV, but sometimes when you do an upgrade, you have to fine-tune everything, and we're still working through some of it, so hopefully it is not too choppy. If it is, apologies, and we'll have that better next week. Always trying to maintain the highest of streaming quality here, but we are expecting about 24 laps on the evening. And class interactions, we'll see how much that actually does come into fruition due to the fact that we don't have the field size we typically have in the Red Sox Racing League, so that will naturally mitigate the amount of class interactions, but we'll see how those come into fruition. We do have a good pull-away advantage right now by Heller of that 1.5 seconds, although in the second place, second class, Ryan Robertson not quite driving off into the distance here. Peter Mahler and Reed Rundle trying to hang on to whatever toe they can. And they are staying within 3/4 of a second or so. Reed Rundle looking for a good run. Has had a good start to the season, but hasn't been able to maintain it likely to the level that he would like to. So he does carry on there in that 3rd position within class. One's 3 and 4. Terry Dahl really needs a good solid run. He just had a very terrible start to the season for himself, so whatever he can do to improve that, he will be certainly trying to work on. Troy Sherrin. Of course, we never know exactly what happens with these guys. Of course, people try to commit to the leagues as best they can, but it is it's something that they can't always make every race. So Troy Sherrin went out there, won race number 1, but unfortunately was not able to be present for the next 2 races. So because of that, he will lose some. He's obviously not even in the top 5 of the point standings in class, but he does have the benefit of the drop week. So that can drop one of his races, and if he's able to persevere, you know, maybe he could still get a solid point standings run out of it. But of course, when you have someone like Mitcheller just running such good paces and really trying to mitigate the mistakes and mitigate the bad situations, of course, he got taken out by a lap car. I cannot remember the first race of the season, but I remember he had the race locked up, and lap car issue completely ruined that situation for him. Sebring, that was, where Heller had it in the bag, and I believe it was contact with Zach Kruger that took him out of it. And Zach Kruger we actually haven't seen since that incident, so I'm not sure if there's any correlation to that fact, but either way, and it just kind of, you know, explains that situation. But all but 2 seconds or so, so already pulling away quite handily. GTP right now, Wilson and McCarthy going from 5th to 6th. Really close proximity there. Dwayne McCarthy trying to take advantage of whatever he can at this point on the racetrack. Right to that back bumper, takes a look to the right, but doesn't quite have the line that he would like into this next set of corners here. Just ahead on the top of the shot is Les Turner in the Batmobile as we close in on turn number 11, I believe, or that is. So turn number 10 into turn number 11. And then we'll set ourselves up for the run to start finish through the Catalunya corner, turn number 13. We are 5 laps into today's efforts. Again, Heller, and we'll just pull up the lap times on the left side of the screen for you, and just look at the difference here. A 128.5 to a 129.3. So absolutely just massive difference. I don't think I've seen that level of difference within class in quite some time. So Troy Sherrin definitely still has some work to do to gain the advantage that he would desire in this car. As of now, not currently permitted to give the details, but it is being discussed by admin within the series on what to do for season 3, or spring, summer series, I believe we'll probably call it, potentially. There's some class interaction already going on. That was Kevin Kyle and then James Prostel being lapped by Troy Sherrin. Of course, being lapped, just being interacted with, if you want to use such a term. But we got always in the series on top of their game when it comes to judging what is going on with participation and what classes are more successful than others, and you know where they should be putting their focus in terms of what to be racing. So we've run 2 seasons of the hybrid machines and about 6 to 8 cars. Of course, the GT3s seem to be very popular. Remember about a year ago we were running TCRs along with the GT3s, and there was a season of running GT4s, so always kind of shaking it up. I believe they said they usually, as you can see, a close proximity battle here with McCarthy and Wilson trying to get around Kevin Kyle, close proximity, interesting racing there through the center section of the track, 7-8. I think they said they usually over the summertime do tend to change the structure of the series to temporarily be a single class endeavor, just because of the fact that, you know, summertime, sometimes there's a little bit of a drop off of participation just as drivers get to performing real-life things, and sometimes participation does wane in the summer as kind of a normality that these drivers do expect. So running a single class does kind of ensure the participation. So a lot of times that is what will happen, and we'll see what does occur. Of course, most every race, well, all the races will be on PTR TV, may have a straggler or two, depending on schedule, but we'll see all in due course. Ryan Robertson up by now 2.5 seconds over Peter Mahler. As we start to wane on the sunshine here, we'll go on board with Reed Rundle on his rear deck with Kim. He's very, very busy. That's Breifogel to his inside. And then Lunsford in the 995. You can see here, as per usual in the lead, we are starting to wane and fully under the lights, but we will have very limited sunshine to end this race. Barcelona, one of the few tracks on iRacing that does actually include default night lighting, of course in a minimalistic degree, similar to what we see at Sebring and Road Atlanta. There are some temporary Musco lighting fixtures around the racetrack and some lit buildings in certain corners of the track, but of course not stadium lit, as very few road courses are. But it is something that was added, which is of course a nice touch by iRacing staff upon the release of this circuit. Closest battle on track would be Rundle and Lunsford. That would be third in GTD. Coming through the final corner leading onto the pit straight here. Very long pit road here at Barcelona, so your pit time will be very vital. More so than usual. The pit lane here goes from the final corner and essentially 80% of the way down the front straightaway that you'll be under pit speed. So maintaining a solid run in the pits, and you'll see some drivers turn off the pit limiter and try to do it manually a la NASCAR style, because the pit limiter kind of box you at the pit limit or a mile below. But if you really feel the desire and the skill to do so, a lot of times you can maintain that limit. Maybe hit the limit with 1 mile an hour above. Then on a long pit road, that could end up being maybe a half second, which when you equate that to distance on the track is a very long distance. So we'll see if that happens. But when it comes to someone like a Mitch Heller, who is out by 7 seconds, you don't need to push that level of risk, if you will. You kind of have everything in your hands, and at this point you just don't want to be that guy to ruin it, which again, that's always been one of our contentions with Mitch Heller, is he, whether it's his fault or whether it's just bad luck, kind of gets himself into positions he does not want to be in. So I don't think he's going to take any unnecessary chances tonight. And for that matter, even a Troy Sherrin 7 seconds back, or even a Breifogel. I mean, everyone right now is more or less in their own little time trial bubble at this point. We do have some people in GTD that are, within a second. Rundle in fourth, as he's about a second behind Lunsford, who is about a second in front of Dahl. But most people in this race in their own little time trial-esque bubble. So when you're in that kind of endeavor, we do have a battle for last, which sometimes it's the most fun battle on the track. As James Prostel and Kevin Kyle, looks like Prostel will just get out of the way very easily there. But when you're in your own little bubble and you know that, you're probably not going to catch anybody else, you may as well just take it as a learning experience and just try to see what you're able to do and see if there's anything you can translate from today's race to another track on the schedule. As again, the remainder of our schedule, the second half, we've got a Silverstone, Long Beach, and Twin Ring. Of course, Long Beach, one that most everyone looks forward to. Silverstone, a very well-known track for everybody except myself. And then Twin Ring, I actually have quite a bit of experience there on the GP layout. And that's actually a very fun and underrated layout there at Twin Ring. Track that is largely dormant in the real world now. course, it used to run an IndyCar oval race, most known for Danica Patrick's only ever major professional win, and then it was known for some IndyCar road racing. It does have some, I think it has some motorcycle racing still done. The oval is largely dormant, but you have not seen any large American series head back over, or even European series head back over to Motegi very often. Track built by Toyota in 1997. But it'd be fun to take these drivers and see what they can do there. And of course, the streets of Long Beach, one that a lot of people look forward to as a very fun event, very fun track, and very challenging track. I actually just took some laps there this morning as a kind of a frame rate test of sorts, but I was actually talking to the Red Sox Racing League guys because I have always been a virtual reality driver. All the way since 2017, I've been a virtual reality driver, and I went out as an investment in kind of selling some old content and old components. Went out and got a 49-inch monitor, one that you saw that a lot of the pro drivers bought in the sim racing explosion in mid-2020, and going from a virtual reality perspective in sim racing and then going back to monitors, it is just such a different experience. At a track like Long Beach, where you really have to have comfort in the spatial awareness, and you don't have the depth perception, but you have walls right around. You have to know the boundaries of the car without having that 3D feel. Very different experience, one that I'm still getting used to, but it should be a lot of fun and reward to try to get that skill back. A lot of the Red Sox Racing League drivers, I know Mark Kudrowski was one, a bunch of Dwayne McCarthy said he is one, Bill Pollucky is in VR. There is quite the amount of drivers in the series that are using virtual reality headsets, but then there's also some on the other side of the spectrum that said, just nope, not for me. I like the resolution, I like the prettiness, I get headaches, I get nauseous, I just get too hot. So everyone's kind of like the old safety issue. Do you like the Hutchins device for safety, or do you like the Hans device? Or do you like neither of them and you take your chances? Of course, that's not the best answer in this new era, but back to what we got going on track. Heller up by, 8 seconds now, as we are just at the halfway point. So pit stops. James Prostel actually already in the pits. And we'll see how long he's in. Usually it's about 7 to 10 seconds or so. You tend to see pit stops here, so we'll see if that is indeed the case. Prostel still receiving service. He may have damage, may have had to tow. Of course, they do get one fast repair in the series, so they do get one fast repair, and he may be using it, or he may have had to tow because he's been in the pits for a prolonged period of time. If you are interested in joining the Red Sox Racing League, you can check them out on their Facebook page. We're at Red Sox Racing League. You can very easily find it there. And you can also go into the iRacing League section. Just type in Red Sox Racing League and talk to the right guys, Les and Terry. And if they deem that they believe you are a safe driver, they'll let you in. Of course, you'd start in the GT3 class, GTD cars, because that is where everyone starts till they quote-unquote graduate, if you will, into the faster class. And very fun 35-minute races, right at the edge of my kind of attention span. If I was a driver, this would be a series that I would definitely gravitate towards. And personally, I can't do the long races anymore. I don't know what it is. I used to love hour and two long races, but for some reason can't do them anymore. I kind of like that 30-40-minute race, maybe an hour absolute tops. But no longer. So the Red Sox Racing League kind of condenses everything you like in a race: some strategy, pit stop, close racing, tight racing, multi-class, very interesting selection of tracks. So again, very good experience, and a lot of guys who have been here forever. I've been covering these guys off and on since 2018, and I can tell you they're 70% of the drivers that I cover in this race today, I covered back in 2018 when I covered these guys in kind of the opening era of PTR TV. So, and I got the email that they saw that we were reopened and that I was back. It wasn't even a thought to come back and cover these guys' races, because I always have some fun and get to see some good racing. And tonight's kind of a little bit of an anomaly. And usually we're upwards of, I'd say, 20 to 23 on an average day. And I think we had a couple races that actually ended up hitting over 30 drivers, and it was just, it was nuts, and it was great to see. But a little bit smaller of a field today, but I wouldn't be too concerned about that. So a lot of times there's different conflicts going on and other sim racing events going on, not just drivers not racing, but sometimes there's other big conflicting events going on. So but we'll see what happens next week at Silverstone, a very well-known track that here on the roadside of iRacing we most certainly have some experience at and enjoy racing at. So we'll see, hopefully see a good field there next week. Ryan Robertson, we talked about Mitch Heller, who has stretched his legs out here this evening and really pulled away, but Ryan Robertson doing much of the same here on the evening. Again, just kind of referencing lap times one more time. You can see on the left side here, display of 43.38 to 43.3, so actually 43.5 rather, so only 2/3 faster over Mahler. So I'm assuming there was some mistakes made by Mahler that put him back there, because we'll wait for another lap to go by. Mahler just about to hit the stripe, and we'll wait for the lap times to update. Well, actually at 42.9, so perhaps it was just Robertson who's been making the mistakes, but yeah, he just ran a lap 0.8 of a second faster than Mahler, so he might just be playing a little bit at this point. And Heller's still running about 0.8 of a second a lap faster than Troy Sherry, but we have been told that the BMW hasn't really been a car that, not just, people want to run the slower car because it's easier and more guys drive it, but this car is a very technical car. It has a lot of strange nuances with how it drives and how you're forced to drive it, whether it steps out and, managing the battery, because it is a hybrid car, so managing the battery, the qualifying configuration, you can literally only run about a lap and a half, and then you're forced to pit if you want to run another lap and spawn into a new car with a full battery, so you can't even really get a 2-3 lap qualifying run in to get the tires warm. So a lot of these drivers not saying it's a bad car, but just not the car that they particularly want to drive, which again, as I spoke to earlier, as Tim Saunders going around. We haven't dusted off the replay yet, so we'll see what happened to Tim. I don't think this will be completely self-instigated there. Just see a lot of dirt kicking up there. If you saw the NASCAR race at Coda, you saw dirt all over the track. Kind of puts you right into the same state of mind there, where certain corners on the track do get dirt. And if you get into the dirt, it just doesn't take a rocket scientist to learn that driving the dirt not going to have as much grip as Les Turner finds himself in the comfy confines of the pit lane, getting his service done, first to draw blood. We'll exit the pits there. I did just turn down, just kind of looked at my audio, because audio settings did change in the meanwhile, and I was a little bit loud, so hopefully the audio mix is a little bit better for you guys at home right now. Turn the engine sounds down just a little bit, so hopefully that helps out with being able to hear me a little bit better over the engine sounds here. So we'll give some feedback on that if you can. Mark Wilson exiting the pit. So now we just await the top 4. And here comes our overall leader, Mitch Heller, down pit road with about 11 minutes to go in the session. Heller gets his service done, along with Troy Sherrin getting his service done, and then Breyfogle. We'll see what the pit stop is. There's no way that could be right. There's absolutely no way that's right. 10.5. So I don't quite know why it says he was only in for 0.8 of a second, but there's no way that graphic is right. Otherwise, well, he ain't making this race because he will certainly run out of fuel. So I'm assuming that's some kind of a glitch in the data, because we did see him parked in there. There goes Dwayne McCarthy. So that will conclude pit stops for our GTP class. Worth noting, James Prostel has retired from the event, so now we await our GTDs. We've only had Tim Saunders pulling the pits, and of course he had his problems to probably instigate an earlier pit stop right there. But we'll see when Robertson, who now is up by 9 seconds or so on his competition in the former Peter Mahler and company. We'll see when he decides to come to the pits, where he just comes through. Let's see where he is on circuit right now. It's coming through the final complex here, 10-11. Goes to the long right-hander of turn 11, and then he'll set himself up for the run to the pit lane here, surpassing the chicanes there for turn 12, and that is the pit entry. He will remain on circuit for one more lap. About a minute 40 around this place, minute 43 around this place, and a GT3 versus about a minute 28, so that would mean he's going to be pitting with roughly 5 laps to go. As he gets past there, I believe that was Troy Sherrin perhaps, that just surpassed Robertson. Indeed it was. Peter Mahler, he is in the pits here for GT3, along with many more. Rundle and Dahl also come and follow down to the attention of their crews. That tree is not one that we need to see right now. Mahler with a 9.5 second stop. Rundle 8.8. Dahl 11. I think I spoke of it last week, but of course worth noting again that with the iRacing update for the last build cycle, so the season 2 update for 2023, an auto fuel limiter, or rather an auto fuel calculator, was built in. It was always the hardest part of being a driver without anybody helping you, is you had to have some kind of third-party software to know, okay, I'm driving this many laps and I have this many to go, and I think I'm using this much fuel, so how much do I add? Well, iRacing has finally added a feature in to calculate that for you. It's in sim, it's right in your fuel black box, your F3 box. So when you go to select your fuel, it'll say that you need to take 1.1 gallons or 2.7 gallons or however many it may be to finish the race, and you can add a buffer. So you can add a lap of buffer using your the fuel calculation data that iRacing calculates per your driving style, and so that's Tim Saunders getting out of the way of Heller. So basically iRacing is calculating how much fuel you're using, and based on that, how much fuel you need to get to the end, and then you can add a buffer of none, or you can add a full buffer of a lap, however many you want to do. So I would think that would mitigate how many drivers run out of fuel. Some drivers do ignore it and they do their own numbers. But nobody should have to completely guess anymore with that new feature that is added to the service, which is good to see. As So close in on 6 minutes to go, which should be about 4 to 5 laps. As who is that off circuit right there? I think that's Kevin Kyle, who is off there in 12 and 13, going very slowly. He has yet to pit, so he may have been running on fumes as the last one to come to the attention of his crew. He will just now come into the pits, but really nothing in terms of an active battle worth speaking of at this point, in all honesty. We'll quickly just go through the field. Heller leading by 9.5 over Troy Sherrin, with Bry Fogel down by another 8 seconds to him. 17 overall, back in third. 34 seconds overall back is Les Turner in fourth. 38 seconds overall back is Dwayne McCarthy. And then 50 seconds back is Mark Wilson. And then for our GTD class, Ryan Robertson, our leader from the pole, who is up by about 11, 12 seconds or so on Peter Mahler. And then you go back another 6 seconds from Mahler to find Lunsford. Another 5 seconds off of Lunsford, you find Rundle. And then another 5 seconds back from Rundle, you find Dahl. Then we go 30 seconds behind Dahl to find Paul Lucky, who actually does have an active battle between him and Saunders. And then you go back another 17 seconds to find Kevin Kyle, who just exited the pit. So this is largely the only active battle on circuit right now. And that's between Paul Lucky and Saunders. And we'll see if there is actually a battle that comes into fruition for these guys. But it does look as though Paul Lucky is starting to stretch out the gap on Saunders. Not sure if there was any damage done to that red machine, to that red Ferrari Evo 2020 of Tim Saunders. Basically the flawless day that, you know, everyone as a race fan loves. You love to see, if you are a driver, you love to see that flawless day where you get the pole, you pull away, you just absolutely dominate, and you don't make any mistakes. You put it in victory circle. Well, so far basically every check has been, well, every box has been checked by both Heller and Robertson. It's just a matter of taking it home to the checkers at this point. Not a good last lap for Heller. Did lose a little bit of time, lost about 3 seconds to Sherrod, but when you have that big of a lead, everything ends up being, you know, very methodical with what you do. You don't have to rush your moves. See what happens here with the timer, as I believe we'll get 2 laps to go. So trying to see where Mitch Heller is on circuit right now. Seems as though he is right around turn 9 right now. Looking at turn 9. He'll probably be another 30 seconds back to the stripe, so be very close here. They get average lap time as a 1:33. Nope, so we're actually going to get the white flag this time by average lap time, about 1:28. We're going to take the checkered flag, rather than the white flag, with a lot less than that on the remaining clock. So this should, for all intents and purposes, be the last lap of the race. We'll wait for official scoring. Probably won't get it until about halfway through the lap. But for all intents and purposes, this should be the last lap of the race. And I'll tell you, I think Heller is taking it easy. Really easy, because last time by, Troy Sherrin was a second and third faster than him. And now the lead just hovering right around 8 seconds. But you have to imagine that at this juncture, Heller is just being that cautious because he has the gap to play with. You know, and you don't have to worry about, oh God, I have to get by him as fast as possible. When you don't have that to worry about, you can play, you can be patient, you can take those moves as they are and just go right ahead and take your time. And that's exactly what he's doing here. I believe that actually is Robertson who just surpassed. So both of these leaders in class will basically be taking the checkers within very close proximity of each other. Makes it an easy call for me as the commentator because they're both basically going to be on screen at the same time for me. So that doesn't happen too very often here. But coming through the final corners here for our leaders, there is the white flag, and this is the run to the checkers. Timer has expired. So in the same shot, how does that work out too often? There goes Mitch Heller. He's going to let Robertson go by. And they are both going to take the checkers. So great run by Heller and Robertson, who both... Actually, let me see. I think Robertson might have to complete the lap. So with the fact that Heller let him by, I think... The fact that Heller let him by, I do believe that that's going to mean that Robertson does have to go another lap around. Kind of a weird situation there. I think that's what's happening. Because obviously our scoring for GTP has ended. Our scoring for GT3, the GTD class, is still live. So because of the fact that Heller let Robertson go by off the final corner, it meant that Robertson does have to go the extra lap around. Yep, that is indeed the case here. I think. I'm a little bit confused if I'm being completely honest, but I'm just waiting for the telemetry to calm down. Maybe they're not, but I think he's just running hard to the line. Remember, they do have to get to the line under power. So that could just very well be the case. So I might just be making something out of nothing there, but it did kind of look like that from a distance. But regardless of the rambling, let's go ahead and give you the final rundown of results because it does as though seem like they are official. With the victory here on the evening, the overall win goes to Heller by what ended up only being 2.97 seconds at the end. Jason Breifogel with the third. We got Les Turner in fourth, Dwayne McCarthy in fifth, and then Mark Wilson with the sixth in class. Ryan Robertson with the win by 4 seconds over Peter Mahler. In second, Andrew Lunsford with a third. Terry Dahl gets a solid run that he very well needed with a fourth in class. Reed Rundle with a fifth. Bill Pollock, he gets the sixth. Tim Saunders in seventh. Kevin Kyle in eighth. And then James Prostill in ninth. And did not take to the race here today. Todd Marin-Pietri in the 808 machine. So we'll get our leaders ready and on screen if we can get the cameras to do them justice here. But pull up to the top, Mitch. How's it going tonight, man? You got the pole, pretty much did everything right. The perfect, flawless race that you've been looking for, and you got it. How's it feeling, man?
Feels pretty good. Good time, good race. Felt good. Didn't have any off tracks. I knew the track. It just flowed this evening. I was able to give everybody else space and room, and I had a few people spin out in front of me, and I had time to slow down and not get in any trouble with it, so it just went well.
Yeah, I mean, how do these kind of races go where you really don't have any direct competition? Your only competition is yourself, what kind of keeps you going and keeps you focused when you're not really having to look in the mirror at all? Were you kind of looking at lap times and trying to battle with yourself, or were you really just trying to not screw up at the end of the day?
So, I know that I got a pretty fast qualifying time. When during practice, it seemed as though, is it Tony or Troy?
Troy.
Troy. Troy looked like he was pretty close. And I thought that he would be hanging with me a little closer during the race, but I just really pulled away. So basically, I just tried to keep moving quickly in case something else would come up during the race where I'd pay for it. And so anyways, it went about like that.
Yeah, and it works out for you. So we'll see what you can do at Silverstone next week. And any shout outs, thanks you want to give for your another victory here tonight?
Yeah, just yourself, Corey, for doing the broadcast, to Terry and Les for running the show, and all the guys showing up for the races.
All right, sounds good, man. Congrats again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Corey. Have a good night.
You too, man.
Yep, bye.
And another victory here tonight for Ryan Robertson. Another one of those kind of, we just talked about it with Mitch, another one of those kind of easy, just don't screw up kind of races. It seemed it was in the bag. Of course, no Ross here tonight, and did everything right. Nice. Not really much to talk about, Ryan, so I don't know if you have any words for me, but congrats again on the run.
Yeah, I mean, without Ross here, it was kind of, we didn't get those awesome battles that we had for the past two, so that was kind of lacking. But no, it was fun. I will say that the Audi baseline setup does not suit this track well at all. Basically, I was fighting understeer throughout any of the fast corners, and it was trying to snap anytime I was braking and anything slow. So yeah.
Well,
interesting.
At least if you didn't have the competition, but the car kept you on your hand, so it kept you up and at it. And I feel like I already know the answer to this because every time I ask you, it's always the same one. But we head to Silverstone next week, so I'm going to assume either you haven't bought the track or you don't know it yet, and you'll be learning it midweek. Is that accurate?
No, I know Silverstone pretty well, at least in like F1 cars. So I've raced, I think, a couple times in GT. I know the track. It's just a matter of hooking it up in the GT car, and yeah, and also tonight, I mean, Peter gave me a run for the first couple laps and stayed with me and whatnot, so that was a fun time. And he was pushing and whatnot, and this track just kills tires, so if you push too hard, you will just wear them out, and I think he might have pushed a little bit over that edge.
Well, maybe next week if Ross is in there, maybe they'll talk you into doing the last to first challenge or something, spice it up. Who knows, man? But any shout outs, thanks you want to give?
Yeah, shout out to my team, Satellite Racing. Shout out to Les and Terry for running the league and you for casting.
All right, sounds good, man. Congrats again, and we'll talk to you.
Thanks.
All right, well, that's a broadcast here on PTR TV. Again, apologies for the little rushed and messed up entry there, because things didn't go my way, but we'll get that sorted, and always striving to improve. Make sure you stay tuned to tomorrow night for the 100% Cup Series Division 2 series, and then Saturday for the Division 1 series. We'll be very busy here on the channel. Spartan Sim Racing on Mondays, and of course Red Sox on Thursdays. So a very full suite here. Make sure you like and subscribe and stay tuned to all the action. But that's Corey signing out of the booth here tonight. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.